Hey guys, on this one I'm just going to go through the vintage Edelbrock Torker 4V intake for a 351 Cleveland large port head, and there was two variants. There was your normal Edelbrock Torker, and then you had the Scorpion variant, which is an Edelbrock Torker with a raised plenum pad just for increased plenum volume. You can see on my old setups, I always ran a 2-inch carb spacer for that increased plenum volume on these old, Torker or single plane intakes for, back in the day. But you can see here that the Scorpion variant was an added cast-in taller plenum pad, which was about 1.5 inches or so above the standard Torker intake. Most of you guys will see that I always tend to use a 2-inch spacer, carb spacer, on my previous combinations that I've done back in the days, which I found that, worked for me as far as, hot street and strip application. But, a lot of guys out there, including professionals, would swear that the 4V Torker intake for a 4V Cleveland head is the better and preferred way to go over any other intake. And I found that out myself as well. I can sort of vouch for that. Sure, there's some flaws within this intake as far as the intake port entry within the plenum is a little small compared to its exit towards the head, which is sort of like not a good thing, I suppose. You know what I mean? It sort of acts as a choke point, but, these smaller cubic inch and smaller combos running large port heads could sort of benefit from that, I guess. And we're talking, between that 450 to 550 horsepower range. Mainly mentioning readily available large port 4V intake manifolds of the day here. So this is just one of them. And, of course, there's got the Holly Strip Dominator intake as well. That's probably more suited for a real, all-out type of race combination where, cubic inch is at play and, high RPMs like that 7.5, 8,000 RPM range to make that type of manifold work on a large port deal. That Holly Strip Dominator intake, it does have a better port runner entry within that plenum on that intake over the Edelbrock Torker or the Scorpion. But then again, you know what I mean, there's cons and pros within both those intakes as well. I've done a video on the Cleveland vintage single plane intakes. You can probably go back and find that video. But anyway, that's just all it is with this Edelbrock Torker and that Scorpion thing. It's just basically an increased plenum, an increased carburetor pad there, and that's just all the Scorpion was. And these intakes, they go back, as far as into the mid-70s, the Edelbrock Torker, and this video is just about that, pointing out the normal Torker and the Scorpion version. Thanks, guys.